Hey, you guys. May 17th, 2019. What am we going to talk about today? About reality as we experience it. Platonic, on the Platonic level of ideas, form, synthesis, antithesis, symmetry, Euclidean geometry, physics, and the principles of phi, for starters. Um, I had a dream last night. Woke up thinking about salt and cubes and crosses and tesseracts. So let's talk about physics because it's real. And I can connect a few dots to some deeper subjects, but you have to know some basic theory of relativity. So let's go over that. E equals energy equals mass, which is how dense something is. Let me tell you something about Einstein. You probably know he was a Jew. He wasn't exactly of the secular variety. He was looking for fingerprints of God in everything, and he was implementing Hermetic principles in science, such as above, so below. It's a story, right? That's what we're here for. That's what puts the party in the particle. Star Trek, Star Wars, these myths. It's the exploration of both outer and inner space as a human being on a mission to ascend cognitively and spiritually that makes us Homo Deus. Our stories are mostly the same. 12 degrees of human experience, but we all experience them differently from different times and locations in an infinite universe. Ultimately, what it means to exist in an infinite universe and all things being inevitable, it means that our intentions should probably grow the fuck up, is what it means. Um, our mission is to find God, and God is playing hide and seek with you. God wants you to play with it because therein lies the majesty and the beauty and the subtle and sublime grace of being. This environment seems hostile for that reason. It's designed to funnel us all eventually into the totality of divinity. So, whatever God is ever present, effervescent, all pervasive. God actually is all of the things that the Bible tells us. And the Bible is actually pretty ingenious because it alone, by virtue of your culture, has a unique ability to take you as far from the proper path of finding God that is possible to get to in this universe. If you don't know how stupid that seems to reasonable people, you're probably religious but not spiritual. You probably go to church, but you've never taken a yoga class or had a crush on a stinky guy with a man bun. Probably that's my guess. So this is usually what people want me to talk about. All right. A long time ago, it occurred to me that everyone and everything is part of a larger organic system. Everything operates within systems. The universe works in fractals. And what that implies is that in everything in is a proportion and a portion of a fraction. That's what we're figuring out. Now, understanding this is how we're able to propel extend our lives indefinitely. Write a book like the Bible. The Bible is not just a book of stories. There's a lot going on in it. It's sort of like a hyperlink. It connects everything to itself and it describes things prophetically. It's remarkable. And a lot of it's not fit for public consumption and therefore it isn't. You don't get to see it. They can't lie, okay? So it's kind of like a vampire, these motherfuckers. They tell you the truth, but they don't tell you the whole truth, kind of like Jordan Peterson doesn't. He it's not for the timid. You got to have a lot of faith that whatever thrust you into this demented dimension did so out of benevolence and love, because the shit that exists in this fucking realm is terrifying. If you The valley of the shadow of death, that shit. But if you know who you are and you know what love is, you look into the eyes of your creator and you find the answers, really. Just you figure out that you're immortal. And the death and change are just like these seasons, and everything, nothing ever ends, and you have really nothing to fear. You ought to respect it, though. The worst thing isn't to die. By far, there are definitely worse things in this universe than death. So when you lose loved ones, you should feel grief, but you should also feel a little bit of relief, because they are out of this. That's their chance. That's their break. That's their chance to break out. And so this is what you should do. Live your entire life learning how to die. And so that when that time comes, you won't be afraid, because if you're afraid, you get fucking wrapped back up into this shit. How do I know this? I'll tell you in my next episode. What makes you an individual? It's something worth exploring while time still allows. To the Buddhist, who is obviously a more realistic, grown-up mentality, looks at death and this is why I thought I was a Buddhist for a minute. I probably still am. I just don't call myself that, because people don't know what it means anyway. But before you were born, you existed to some extent and capacity. You don't have a memory of it, but you don't have a memory of 2 weeks ago. You don't have a memory of really anything. Your memory is a really shoddy way to determine who you are. Who you are is ever changing, and you're not even the same person from one day to the next. And you never remember who you were. Sometimes you have flashbacks, sometimes you have dreams, and you have deja vu, and you get nostalgic for things, and sometimes you just like all of a sudden feel panic or fear. Like, all of that is because you've been around here a long time, and certain things trigger you on a DNA genetic level because you have associations with things. And that's normal. That's natural. Yeah, I think I talked a little bit about that epigenetics in the abortion one that I did. So, and that's part of the reason why abortion's not this fucking mass murder evil plot, because these little zygote spermazoa things are, the embryo, whatever the hell you want to call them, that aren't really yet people. They actually don't have. They have a soul and they have a nature, but it isn't removed, isolated from source quite yet. It's still being programmed and informed entirely by instinct. So it doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have an autonomy. It's not losing anything by not coming here. In fact, if you believe in the Bible and you believe what Paul said, might have been Peter. I think it was Peter, actually. Don't have kids. Don't get married. Don't make plans for the future. This place is not designed to be sustainable. This is going to end, right? Well, it isn't. He's wrong about that. This place is eternal. This place is eternal. You won't be here the whole time. It's like third grade. You're going to graduate eventually, unless you're stupid and you're resigned to be the schoolyard bully. And that's what happens here. People that really want to hang out here, they're vampires, and they do hang out here. And the truth about this place is, you got to be cynical, because this place is pretty dark. This is one of those orbs flying around the sun that isn't illuminated. And I've gone totally off script here. I was going to tell you about Zarathustra and Zoroastrianism, and I was going to tell you about the Old Testament, the Torah, and how it begins with, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And that's pretty much all you really need to know about the Bible, is that the Word is God. Or at least words are telling you that the Word is God. A part of me wants to believe that, because language is what makes it so that human beings can communicate with each other, because we're not telekinetic yet. That's coming. Abrahamic religions, uh, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all fundamentally prescribed by Abraham. They're all derivative of Brahma, the Brahmins being the ruling class of the Aryan Hindi. This is the quintessential social dominance hierarchy that Jordan Peterson talks around, but never really addresses full on or puts his finger on it. And I know he knows this shit because I read Maps of Meaning. And he skirts around the esoteric knowledge like it's his own personal Om Mani Padme Hum. His own mantra that declares that the jewel is in the lotus, the jewel in the lotus, the jewel being the truth and the lotus being the self. You find the truth inside you when you face your fears. And, he talks about going into the underworld and slaying the dragon. That the underworld is internal. The dragon is you. He talks about the shadow. Find that which you are most afraid of and confront it. Dude, what is that if it's not you? He talks about the monster inside of him and how you have to be an animal and a beast well, you do, but you have to face, and that should be your ultimate nemesis. And you get through that. When you finally do that, it has nothing to do with your dad. What it is it's about facing your biggest fear, which is, for most people, it's their biggest fear is death. And then people generally, their second greatest fear is speaking in public. And here I am talking to you on the internet. And it doesn't even get more public than that. The public are cruel. They're going to say terrible things about me. I don't care what people think about me. I never did. Well, I did until I faced death. And then I was like, well, I don't fuck what people think, dude. Especially what people who don't think. It's like some dumb motherfucker thinks you're stupid. Okay, fine. Just let that shit roll off your back. That's where you get your confidence, by failure. And you fail and you think it's going to be the end of the world, and then you fail again and it isn't the end of the world, and then you do it again, and next thing you know, you're half expecting to fail, but you don't give a fuck. You're going to try because you don't have any other choice. What are you going to do? You're going to just fucking sit on your couch? You're going to let the world pass you by? You get out there and you fight and you lose. You fall down. I did like Peterson's book, fucking skateboarding and all that shit. Dude, he's right about a lot of that shit. And some of the shit he's right about's not really that fucking comfortable, And it does. But here's the thing: it doesn't apply to women equally, and it could. He doesn't really address or respect women properly. That's his problem. So let's talk about the dots that connect multiculturalism. Okay. You can't preserve a culture. That's what's going on with these right wingers. They think that they want to conserve something. They think that they're losing their culture. They're failing to recognize that their culture is evolving. Okay, it's not. They're not losing anything. They want to stop it from evolving, and to stop that from evolving is what's going to kill it. They can't. A lot of them don't. These white supremacists, these anti-Semitic dudes, they don't even understand that their culture is actually informed by the Bible, by the Old Testament, by the Jews. Their culture is Jewish. They're walking around with part of their dick cut off, and they think they're losing their culture. It's foolish. They're uninformed. They're dull. They're dullards. And that's what happens when you have everything given to you. I was driving to work the other day, man. I'm sitting there counting all my blessings. And I got to the bottom of the things that I could think about that were blessings. And then I was talking to this new guy at my work. He's this really staunch, strict Mormon guy. And, we get along because I like to talk about this stuff with him. I like to talk about what he thinks, his opinions about what God is and all of that stuff. And he's telling me, he was asking me about my past, and I'm telling him about my childhood. I'm telling him about how it was for me growing up. And I realized that all of that stuff, that I went through, that my mom and me and my kid brother and my stepdad and everybody, all of us, everything that we went through together, we were like steel sharpening itself against each other. Like, you can't fuck with me now. Because what are you going to do to me that I haven't already gone through? So, it's like, even my curses I started counting them as blessings. I'm like, thanks for that kid. Thanks for the kid in third grade that kicked my ass and made me learn. Every tough lesson that I ever had to learn the hard way. Lessons. I don't like that. I don't like that word. The Mormons always tell me they're going to come over, and they ask me if they can come over and teach me a lesson. I'm like, dude, you're 18 years old. You're going to fucking lesson me. I'll tell you what's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe he will teach me a lesson. Maybe he's the second coming of Jesus, and I'm just too arrogant. Maybe God sent him to convert me. Maybe God sent him so that I could light a fire in his mind that not even his stupid ass church could put out. Maybe that's what's going on with these Mormons, because they're drawn to me, man. They come to me from every angle, and I just keep letting them in because they can't fuck with me. It's like, and I'm not mean to them, man. One of these times I'm gonna record the interactions that I have with these kids. They leave shaking their head, going, "What the fuck was? That guy was talking about Metatron and salt and Melchizedek, and what was that shit about? What was that shit about carbon and whatever? Dude, I read a lot of books, but we were talking about in the break room the other day. It's like, I was at the Mormon dude I was telling you about. I was like, how do you know Christ isn't already here? Another buddy of mine used to ask me all this, say something to this effect all the time. He's like, if Jesus was here right now, somebody would have called the cops on him, reported him to the authorities, and he'd be bouncing off the walls of an institution right now. And I think he's right. This dude's walking around telling people he's Jesus. Someone calls the cops, and now he's in a nutcase, probably somewhere in Alabama. He's probably Jesus, or else maybe he got aborted. You ever think about that? Some chick, some virgin, just wakes up pregnant one day, doesn't even know how the hell she got pregnant. She tells her mom, and everybody thinks she's a liar, obviously. Well, they just go and get her an abortion. Where does Jesus go if Mary aborts? Back to heaven? Did you come back? I don't know. Oh, and it's suppose he is in a loony bin psych ward somewhere. He's got miracles, right? He's gold. He could use his magic tricks to turn water into wine and walk on water. I don't know. Fucking all his magic tricks had to do with water. I don't know. Fish probably had something to do with the fact that it's not real. It's all allegorical to the way the stars move. But God, good luck convincing somebody that believes that shit that there's something realistic about the stories they hear and tell. It's crazy. Yeah. Maybe he's going to pull some Jedi mind trick shit on Donald Trump. Start the eschaton with the world war. That's the problem with the book of Revelations. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my ideas about Revelations. Okay, I'm going to be fucking honest and say some shit that I probably shouldn't. Because you're going to think I'm nuts if you don't already. Maybe fucking they'll come to take me away. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. And I'll be happy to see them come with their clean white coats. And they're coming to take me away. But yeah, okay. I used to mess around with Sacramento compounds. And when I was a kid, I stopped. They scared the fuck out of me. I'm not even going to tell you which ones. But I read the book of Revelations, and when I was reading it, these images of modern warfare were flashing into my imagination. The book's describing these beasts with fire bellowing out of their mouths and 9-headed hydras. Like when I was reading about the hydras and the heads, I just saw missile spirals, like sidewinders with their trail of smoke behind them, looking like snakes flying through the sky, exploding. Like everything that I read in the Bible, there was a military mechanized machine of war that fit the description if I was looking at it from now instead of like 2,000 years ago into a future where everything I wouldn't recognize exists. And it gets back into the whole idea, the principle that if anything exists, then if it exists at all, if it's possible, then it's inevitable, given an infinite time span. So, that's something that my brain has always done, is just like, I don't know, fucking, you can call them, you could say it's a hyperactive imagination. That's what I'll call it, okay? Just to keep myself out of trouble. I don't want people thinking that I'm some sort of fucking visionary or some prophet or some shit, because it's not that. It's really, dude, I just have a fucking hyperactive imagination sometimes, because I'm so cynical and I can understand where people's motives are coming from. Then I can predict their behaviors, and so like, there's nothing fucking magic about it. Okay, it's just that I'm a stupid. Fucking Ted Cruz saying we need a space force to keep us safe from space pirates. What do you guys think of that? You know something we don't? What does he know? What is Jesus going to do to the space pirates when he comes back? They have anything to do with him. What do you think Jesus is going to do to the Chinese when he comes back? Is he going to let them off the hook? Like, so fucking stupid. Anyway, goddamn. I'll stop with this shit. Oh, fuck. Fucking people losing their faith. Science taken away. People don't believe such stupid shit anymore. It's better to understand, Of course they are. And, the Bible told the faithful that the people were going to lose faith in Jesus. That was prophecy. That was predetermined. Fuck, of course. Facts don't care about your feelings. You remember that doofus, Ben Shapiro? They don't care. That's kind of how karma works. That's what Jesus was talking about when he said, "What do you have done to the least of these, my brethren, you have done unto me." That's what he meant. I think he was in Matthew 40 or 41 or something. He said something like, something about looking to those on the left and telling them to depart from me, you who are cursed, and into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick, or in prison, and did not help you? And then Jesus is like, truly whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. You fucking motherfuckers. He actually even said that. Jesus was not nice to everybody. You shouldn't be either. You should fucking figure out who these fucking assholes are and tell them that they're assholes. Dude, Jesus was fucking beating people out of temples with whips. He drove out the moneylenders because they were fucking bringing their dirty money around him on when it was supposed to be his day off. That's what they were doing. Anyway, how about we just have one commandment? How about this? Thou shalt. It's gotta have an out. So how about thou shalt try to not be a fucking asshole? How about that how about thou shalt not try to be a fucking asshole as a commandment? I think that one's workable. I think that's good. We're human though, for now. Whatever. I think I've pretty much reached all the points that I was going to talk to you about. That's pretty much it. I just want to talk to you guys about what I think about. And I saw some garbage being passed off as life coaching or good advice by these assholes with red pill in their YouTube names. I could only think of 2 or maybe 3. Bo, the 5th column's pretty good. Obviously, ContraPoints. She's actually getting some hype. Ezra Klein interviewed her last week. Natalie Wynn, ContraPoints. Great YouTube channel. That's the plan. I want to align myself with these guys and make good content that's interesting to you. And I want to fight Alex Jones. I didn't tell you, but that's the reason I'm making YouTube videos, is because I want to fight Alex Jones. And if you want to help me fight him, then you know how. Like, share, subscribe. If not to me, because I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But like, share, and subscribe to each other, you motherfuckers. I love you. Peace.